Sharma YouTube channel. So this is the third class. This is a continuation of the last class. So in the last class, what we have seen is we have seen object-oriented programming concepts, OOPS concepts. So about encapsulation, about inheritance, polymorphism, then Apex fundamentals we have discussed, that is data types, and the primitive data types, collections and all. And we have seen boolean, date, time and date time, and integer, long, double. All this we have discussed in the last class. So we have also seen access modifiers, okay, private, public, global, with sharing, without sharing, okay, and virtual abstract. So let's continue today. So let me give you an example of outer class and inner class. Example of outer class and inner class. So syntax is public class, outer class, public class, outer class, and in this class, inner class. Public class, outer class, and class, inner class. So the required code will go here, the required code will go here, and here will be the inner class code. Okay, public class, outer class, and class, inner class. Okay, so this is just the syntax, and this is example 1, and example 2. Public with sharing class, name of the class is sharing class. Public with sharing class, okay. So this class is with sharing class, that's why we are using with sharing, and code will go here. Public with sharing class, code will go inside this. Okay, and example 3, public without sharing class, public without sharing class, let's name it as no sharing. Public without sharing class, no sharing, code will go here. Okay, so this is example 3, public without sharing class, no sharing. Example 4, I'm just telling you what all the syntax of the class will be like. Okay, so next one is public with sharing class, outer, public with sharing class, outer, and here outer class code will be there, outer class code, public with sharing class outer class code, and inside without sharing class, let's name it as inner. Without sharing class inner. Okay, and inner class will go here. Inner class code will go here inside. So in this class, outer class runs with current user sharing rules. Okay, outer class runs with current user sharing rules. Why? Because we are implementing with sharing. So when we implement with sharing, the class will run in the context of current user sharing rules, whatever implemented, but inner class will run it with system context. System context is without sharing it is implementing, right? So this will not take into consideration the sharing rules. Okay, so inner class will run with system context. Okay, next example, example 5. Public without sharing, public without sharing, public without sharing class outer, public without sharing class outer. Here we use with sharing, now we are using without sharing. And in here outer class code, outer class code, and inside this with sharing class inner, with sharing class inner. Okay, and inner class code will go here. Inner class code will go here. Okay, so now in this, both inner and outer classes runs with current user permissions. In this, both inner and outer classes runs with current users permission. Why? Because it's implementing with sharing. Okay, so next class variables. Class variables. So the variables in the class should specify the following properties when they are defined. Variables in a class should define the following properties. And what are the properties? One, optional. This will be optional. In this, modifiers such as public or final as well as static. Okay, these are optional. Modifiers such as public, final or static. So what we are discussing, the variables in the class should specify the following properties when they are defined. So a variable, like what all the properties a variable can define, and this is optional, like a variable can be public, final or static. Okay, and what is the second one? It is required. What is required by the variable? What is required? The data type of the variable such as string or boolean. Data type of the variable such as string or boolean. Data type of the variable such as string or boolean. So this is required by the variable, that is data type of the variable string or boolean. This is the required. Third point, what is optional? Optional, the value of the variable. The value, a variable can have a value, a variable cannot have a value, so that is optional. It is value of the variable. Value of the variable is optional. Next one, name also can be optional. Optional, name of the variable. Name of the variable, this also can be optional. Okay, and so now let me give the syntax of it. Syntax: public, private, protected, global, final. Then can be it can be public, private, protected, global, or final. Public, private, protected, global, or final. Okay. Then static. Then data type you have to mention. Data type you have to mention, and then the variable name. Then you have to mention the variable name. Okay, so this is the syntax: public, private, protected, global, final. Then static, data type, variable name. Okay, so this is the syntax: public, private, protected, global, final, static, data type, variable name. Example, for example, private, static, final, integer my underscore int. Okay, this is access modifier. Then we are declaring static and final, and this is this variable is static, this variable is final, and then data type is integer, and variable name is my int. I have done a mistake. We cannot use static and final together. So this is private static integer my underscore int, private static integer my underscore int. Then next one is private final integer I equal to 1. This is the example. One is private static integer my underscore int, private final integer I is equal to 1. Okay. Class methods. Next topic is class methods. To define a method, specify these things. For example, first one, optional. What are optional? For methods, modifiers such as public or protected. Modifiers such as public or protected. What are the required things for methods? It's the data type of the value returned by the method. The data type of the value returned by method, such as string or integer. Okay, data type of the value returned by method such as string or integer. So you have to use void if the method does not return a value. Okay, the data type. required is data type of the value returned by the method, such as string or integer. Okay, and when we have to use void if the method does not return anything. Okay, third one. So a list of input parameters for the method separated by commas, each preceded by its data type and enclosed in parentheses. Okay, a list of input parameters for the method separated by comma, each preceded by its data type and enclosed in parentheses. So if there are no parameters, use a set of empty parameters. If there are no parameters, use a set of empty parameters. A method can only have 32 input parameters. A method can only have 32 input parameters. The third one is input parameters. Input parameters. Okay. This is also required. So last fourth one is the body of the method enclosed in braces. The body of the method enclosed in braces. All the code for the method, including any local variable declarations which will be contained there. Okay, so the body of the method enclosed in braces, flower braces, all the code for the method, including any local variable declarations which is contained there. Okay, this is also required. Okay. Now next is syntax. Syntax is public, private, protected, global. Public, private, protected, global. If it's overriding, use override. Static, then data type, method name, and then input parameters. Input parameters. Okay, and body of the method will be here. Body of the method. So syntax is access about, like, if method is using access modifiers, then it's public, private, protected, global. Then override, if you are using if the method can be overridden. Static, then data type of the method, the name of the method, and in here input parameters, and in the middle inside flower braces, body of the method. Okay, so example public static integer, public static integer get int. public static integer get int, public static integer get int, and this will return, for example, my underscore integer semicolon. Public static integer get int, this is the name of the method. Okay, this method is static, and this is the data type, and this is the access modifier, and this will return integer, that is my underscore int. Okay, this is example 1. Example 2 public class example, public class example, in this public integer show, public integer show, name of the method is show, and in this parameters it will accept integer age, and then inside this method system.debug, this is nothing but to print the debug logs. Okay, and my age, this is nothing but the string plus age semicolon. Okay, so public class example, this is the class, and inside the class we have a method, and the method is public integer show, name of the method is show, and this is of type integer, and this is accepting the parameter integer age. Okay, now when we print, this system.debug is used for printing, so when we print it, my age plus age, that means whatever value will be passed in this parameter, that will be printed here. So let's say if the age is passed as 21, then my age value will be 21. If it is 25, then my age value will be 25. Okay, okay, so let me in this class here, so in the next class we will be discussing the other topics. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this video, and please subscribe to this channel.